My Muse, it's me, Jack. I guess that's what you call me. Just Jack. I'm here to talk about something that I haven't talked about in a while. And it's something that struck me because I had a conversation with a collaborator or a colleague about YouTube. Now, I don't want this to come off as a sort of sour grapes kind of issue, because it's not. Because, truth be told, I don't really put much thought into this. And the reason why I don't put much thought into this is because if I did, I might get a little angry. Not jealous, but angry. Now, what I'm talking about is, and I'm trying to do this in such a way where it's not going to sound like I am whining and complaining, because I'm not. And it's not really just about YouTube. It's about anything, especially any artistic endeavor. And this can apply to just about anything. To books, to music, to movies, to paintings, to anything. And if you ask any artist out there, they will say that they have suffered the same problem. And that problem is visibility, popularity, as it were. Remember back in high school, those days? I barely remember high school because it was some time ago. But you remember back in high school when it seemed that the only thing that truly mattered to most people was being popular? Now, I should say that I was one of those in high school that, for whatever reason, I was popular without having to try. I didn't try. I didn't set out to be popular. I just set out to be me. And I think in the process of being me and being truly genuine to who I was, it allowed people, or it made people, to want to be a part of my life. And so I didn't suffer that issue in high school. Everybody liked me. And maybe part of that was because I even from an early age, back in elementary school, I was the class clown. And everybody likes to laugh. So when you can make people laugh of all kinds, you're kind of golden. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not saying, "Ooh, I was everybody's favorite." I wasn't everybody's favorite in high school. I had enemies. But I didn't have to work at it. And I could bounce between the jocks and the band geeks and the theater geeks and the science nerds. I could bounce between those different groups without having a problem. It actually wasn't until I became an adult that this became an issue. And I guess partially because the older I got, the more withdrawn I was from society. And if I wanted to, I could spend the effort and energy to better understand what it is that would help me to become more visible on platforms like YouTube and Twitter and things like that. But truth be told, the older I get, the more precious my time is. And I would much rather spend that precious commodity creating something. I would rather spend my time writing words to go into a story than researching how to beat algorithms. And I've been this way for a long time. There have been moments in my career as a writer where I have tried. I have worked at upping my visibility game. And the only thing it ever truly brought me was frustration. Not because I would at times find a boost in my visibility and popularity, but it was a lot of work. because you're fighting two things. You're fighting algorithms, and you're fighting a multitude of people who are also fighting the algorithms. And it's really, really frustrating if you allow it to be. And especially if you look at YouTube. And this is where this little discussion was inspired. I went to a place where I create content for a company. I create written and video content for a company. And we were talking about how, again, I'm trying to be kind. We were talking about how there are people on YouTube who are incredibly popular. There are people on YouTube that make millions of dollars because they are considered influencers. And when you watch what these people have to offer by way of videos, if you're of a like mind with me, your first impression is, what the fuck? How is it that this person, this asinine person who has absolutely nothing of value to offer society, how are they so popular? How do they have millions of subscribers? I don't get it. A lot of times these people are simply doing nothing but making fun of other people or making assholes out of themselves. And I apologize for the language in this video, but sometimes language is the only way to convey the truest level of frustration. And I'm not going to name any names because that's just not who I am. But I'm sure if you've spent enough time on YouTube, you know some of the people I'm talking about. And then you have other people who have important things. I'm not saying that what I have to say is important, but you have people out there who do have important things to say, things that we can learn from. And that's one of my goals here, is to help people, help other authors and other artists learn, sometimes from my mistakes and sometimes from my successes. My failures and my successes, I guess, is what I should have said. And so I try. With my little conversations with you, Muse, I try to educate and enlighten people, sometimes entertain them. And I have a smattering of followers, but that's not why I do this. I do this because at some point in time, someone is going to come across one of these videos and learn something from it. Because let's face it, being an artist in this day and age is hard. Hell, being an artist in any day and age is hard, especially in certain countries that don't really care about their artists. They don't support them. They don't love them. And so I try. And there are days, like when I had that conversation with that colleague of mine, that it becomes exponentially more frustrating because you know that there are people out there who have very little depth or soul or heart to convey to the people. And they're making bank. Again, that's not what this is about. I love my little conversations with you, Muse. There are times when I learn something from them. But the truth of the matter is I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, I'm glad you're doing this because I'm scared to death. Because what writers do is hard. And it is scary at times. Because every time I write a book, I put my heart and soul into it. Every single time. Whether it's a full-length novel or a short story, I bleed for that story. And when it comes time to submit it to the publisher or to publish it myself, it's nerve-wracking because you know that you are putting a piece of your heart and soul out there for people to consume, to read, to enjoy, and you never know what's going to happen. You could release something and every single person who reads it could go, "This is awful. It is the worst thing I have ever laid my eyes upon. Why in hell is this person bothering to write?" Or you could have the opposite. And you can have people say, "I absolutely love this. I got something from this. This book helped me through a challenging time in my life." And to me, that's the penultimate of what we get back, is when we help people through their trials and tribulations. And I know that it's very similar to the days of high school. It is a popularity contest. It has been for some time now. And you have to, as an artist, you have to fight the urge to dive into that current, because it will get you nowhere. When you go, "Hey, this is a popularity contest. What are the popular kids doing? What are the cool kids doing that I'm not doing?" And then you dive down that rabbit hole and you start trying to recreate the things that have brought other people success, and you only find frustration. Because in some situations, it was a perfect storm that brought them that modicum of success. And even that person that put all of those pieces together at the right place at the right time, they could do it a second time and it not work. And one of the best pieces of advice I have ever given anybody is that, especially in the world of art, is that luck, unfortunately, plays a huge part in this parade. That there are times when you have to realize that your book has to be read at the right time by the right person in the right set of circumstances, such that they would then turn around and tell another right person at the right time in the right set of circumstances. So then it becomes viral. And I hate that word. I absolutely loathe that word. I have set out from day one, not from day one, from when I hit the event horizon of being an author, I guess you would say, I have set out to not become a meme. I don't want to be a meme, because memes are transient. They're temporary. They last about this long in the scope of things. I want to become something far more permanent than that. And that's my goal, is that it is the long run, the long game, the long haul. That's what I'm in it for. And that's what every artist should be assuming, that the long haul, the long game, is the only game in town. And if you're not ready to play that, then you're probably not ready to dive into this. There is an old saying that has been around for quite some time within the world of authorship, and that it is a marathon, not a sprint. I take that one step further. It is not a marathon. It is not a sprint. It's a hamster wheel. And once you get on the hamster wheel, you just have to keep running. And that doesn't mean you have to keep forcing yourself forward. And if you lose momentum, you're out of the game. You just have to keep moving. You could walk on that hamster wheel. You could run on that hamster wheel. You could sprint on that hamster wheel. And you could do those things at different times. The most important thing is, though, is that you just keep moving forward. And it never ends. It never freaking ends. You got to stay on it. If you're serious about this, you just have to hop on that hamster wheel and keep going. And you have to keep your eyes forward, and you have to stop looking out to the side to see what all the popular cool kids are doing, because you might wind up getting tossed off your hamster wheel. And it is your hamster wheel. And how it works for you won't work for other people. And so during those times, when you take your eyes off the prize, as it were, and you start getting upset that there are people on YouTube who are famous, who are making freaking bank for reasons that you simply cannot comprehend, you have to step back and say, you know what? Good for them. Let them do it. Let them have that spotlight for a moment. I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and eventually it's going to pay off. That's all there is to it. But the second you look at those people and you start getting jealous, bad things are going to happen. Trust me. Jealousy is the enemy of artists. Period. Repeat that with me, everyone. Jealousy is the enemy of artists. Don't be jealous, be driven. And don't be driven by jealousy. It doesn't work that way. Well, I hope that all came out in a positive way, because I don't like to be negative. I don't like to cut other people down. I like to be positive, because there's enough negativity in the world. And besides, why would I be negative when I have such an amazing muse on my side? Because you, Muse, are awesome.